being recorded. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, everybody? And thank you for checking out another one of my weekly Forex and crypto analysis, aka weekly outlook. Let's go ahead and get started with fundamentals, right? Everybody knows, well, not everybody knows, but usually for those who have been watching me for a while now, you guys are all aware that, hey, I am not a fundamental analysis trader. By no means necessary do I base my opinion on the markets based on what the data for the news comes out. Personally, I do not care about the numbers, but I do like to know about what the news event is and what time it is occurring before I like to enter into any type of trades. And I only do that with high impact news, or as some people call it, red folders. And the only reason why I only focus on the red folders is because they will bring the most volatility in the market in a matter of minutes. Usually, and happens in a lot of occurrences during news candles, especially if it's like high impact news, like a rate statement for the Australian dollar that's going to be happening on Monday. For news events like that, you can see where the currency pairs will go one way and then go another, which is kind of like waking both sides, if you will. It'll go bullish for 5 seconds and then it'll end up dropping to the downside for a couple hours. Whipsaw, if you will. So that's exactly why I like to say, hey, I want to see what time these news events are going on, so that if I'm not already in a trade by then or before then, I'm not going to try to get into a trade 30 minutes early. Or if I'm feeling risky, then I might try that. But that's just for me personally, right? So with that being said, I like to give just that fair warning before I get on. So 4:05 a.m., we have GBP news, Governor Bailey speaking. What he'll be referring to, not so sure. Not really something I'm going to pay attention to, quite honestly. 11:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on Monday, we have Australian dollar news with the cash rate and the rate statement. This is going to be something that you definitely, if you trade the Australian dollar, you want to pay attention to that. That is basically like FOMC, but for the Australian dollar. For the U.S. dollar, there is at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time on Tuesday. ISM services PMI, nothing really. It's these are important numbers for economically wise, but for trading and making any type of crucial decisions, I'm not going to go off of the PMI. Now there is FOMC meeting minutes at 1 on Wednesday, right? Now, one thing that I want to watch for next week, if there's going to be, so the reason why I wanted to look for next week is because it's usually in the middle of the month. And let me even look at the next one. Yeah, it's usually in the middle of the month, like between the 13th and the 14th, where they would be giving FOMC news, right? And they make it like that. And hey, Jose, how you doing, bro? Hey, good to have you on here. And the reason why they have it that way is because they usually like to have it where NFP is towards like the 6th or the 7th, or maybe even the 5th, when it comes to releasing that news event, so that they can be able to place FOMC towards the middle of the month. And that's like the rate statements, right? But with this month, we're having FOMC meeting minutes on the 6th, apparently. And hey, this is something that I will come back and check at a later time, because sometimes these things do change. Even the data that I'm getting here on Forex Factory, it may not be the same as the data that I'm receiving on my FX book or on some other websites. Every website, they have their own different means. That's why you have to go and do your own research. I just like Forex Factory for a number of different things as well. So definitely Wednesday, FOMC, that's something that you definitely want to watch for. And again, this might be something that is like, hey, this may change to maybe it's going to happen next week. No, I'm not really saying that that's what's going to happen. It's more than likely it's going to happen as it's written here, but the likelihood of it still like being changed, I've seen it happen before, so that's why I want to keep that possibility open, right? Thursday, there's no high impact news, and then Friday, 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, there is Canadian dollar news with the employment change and unemployment rate. And so this is basically the Canadian version of of NFP, non-farm payroll, right, for the US dollar. So now that we've gone over that, let's go on over to the charts. The charts, this is where I make most of my decisions. I make most of my decisions on this chart. And since this is a fresh month, this is April, I like to look at the monthly candlestick before I start to go into any deeper technical analysis. And since it is a fresh month, I'm going to delete my charts. Whatever I was looking at last month, I'm going to get a fresh look at it. That is how I do things. Usually in the first month, I'll make my analysis and then I'll just continue going based off of my monthly, weekly bias throughout the month. And then I'll just change it up again, you know. I do usually encourage that every time you get on the charts, why not do a fresh markup? Because the only way that you're going to be able to get good at doing technical analysis and drawings is by doing it, right? All right, so monthly candlestick last month on the US dollar futures or DXY, whichever one you want to look at. I like you look at the futures more. We can see that there is a bullish candle on here, but it's not super bullish, right? Let me delete that because that is not necessarily what I want to draw. This is the candle that I'm looking at. This is what price has done in the month of March. And, you know, it's left a good, decent, big wick to the upside, but the candlestick that I'm seeing is even larger than the body of the candlestick is even larger than the wick. And so that's not necessarily telling me that, hey, I want to be looking for a bearish possibility here, right? That's not necessarily telling me what that is. It's telling me that, hey, there is still a possibility that price can go bullish on the monthly time frame, but there is some type of rejection that price is rejecting off of. And if you look to the left of that, let's just get to the wick. If you could look to the left of it, then you could also see, then you could also see that there are times over here where price is bounced off of said resistance, because that's what price is bouncing off of, like this higher time frame resistance, right? And so with that being said, I am going to be drawing a zone here on the weekly time frame, saying, okay, this is a zone that I need to be watching for a possible rejection on the DXY. Now, not to say that the DXY is just going to reject right here, because price could just literally continue going bullish a little bit and then push back down. But I'm going to pay attention to this weekly zone right here that we've seen price as early of September 19th. September in 2019 to now has prices rejected off of it. And, you know, as I was mentioning the same thing last month, for those who remember, I've been saying that, hey, this Fibonacci zone from this high to this low, you know, from the high of 104 to the low of 89.100, price has been rejecting off of this 61.8 Fibonacci zone, but it has not yet reached the 71%. Whereas on the DXY, which is what I used to look at, but I like the futures more. Whereas on the DXY, it's already reached its 71%, right? But with the DXY, there's a little bit more gaps in the market, so I'd rather go and look at the futures, but it's almost very much identical. So, with me seeing that in this monthly candle, I'm like, okay, price still has the possibility to reach up to the likes of 99.690 or 100.825. So I'm not going to make that decision to sell quite yet, but I do know that this resistance up here is a possible area where price can definitely reject off of and go bearish, push to the downside, right? So pushing on over to the weekly time frame right after the monthly, I want to go and see what the last week's candle was, right? So this candlestick right here is showing all of what price did last week. You know, left a large wick to the downside, also left some rejections up over here. So I'm going to go even closer to this. And so when I'm seeing this on a weekly time frame, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a month worth of candle of price moving up and down, just going up here, rejecting, pushing to the downside, and it's going to be much more visible on the daily time frame. But me seeing this is not necessarily a doji candle, but it's also something that I could be paying attention to and saying, hey, that could be a possibility for price to go bearish right now, right? It's not, again, that's not necessarily a doji candle, but it is a possibility that I'm going to be paying attention to. Going on over to the daily time frame, I'm seeing that, hey, prices pushed, like, well, actually, when I'm going over to the daily time frame, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to make this into a, no, it does not, I didn't want the fib. I wanted to change this resistance into supply so that it's just red. But when I'm paying attention, when I see this DXY right now, I'm seeing between the 4th of March to current price, which is the 4th of April. You know, that's what the market did not open on April 3rd. The market opened on April 4th, right? That's what the Aussie session is right now. But price has been rejecting off of these two zones right here, between this support and this resistance. All we're seeing is price consolidating in between the zone. And I've been talking about it, and I've been saying, hey, right now, the position that the dollar is in, I'm not necessarily so crazy over trying to see if it's going to break out to the downside. I want to see it personally break to the downside, but I don't want to get into a sell if price is right here at this support. Or I don't want to get into a buy when price is right here at this resistance. You know, I want to wait for price to break out between one of these two zones, whether if it's going bullish or whether if it's going bearish, do the retracement, and then I'm going to get into the trade, because that's the safer play. Other than that, like, and it's just, hey, if price is down here and you want to play the range, get into the buy. If price is up here and you want to play the range, get into the sell. But the main point of it would be to buy low and sell high. That's if you're playing inside the range. Right now, price is currently in the middle of that range, and it's just really tricky to play in the middle of ranges. The only way that I could really play the DXY at this point, and I said something very similar last week, was I believe that I said that, hey, right now, price is, was it like this? I believe it was like this. Yeah, price is in a wedge, and I think that it can make a fake out to the upside to come back to this resistance and then push to the downside. And that's what it did, faked out. I had put my dollar signs and stuff right there just to show that clarification. But it's the same, it's like at this point, for me, after price pushed to the downside and with such, it came down pretty bearish, and it came down pretty fast. Not for the 4-hour time frame standards, but it came down pretty fast. And so what I'm looking at is like, hey, from this high to this low, the only possible way that I'm going to be looking for a selling dollar is if price comes into this fib zone. Let me get rid of some of these other lines on the higher time frame. That zone is good for your guys' eyes, but yeah, I want to see what price is going to come up and do once it gets over here at 98.995 or 99.020 before seeing a possible like breakout to the downside and price actually coming down to these extensions. Now, weekly time frame, we do have to pay attention that overall, let's not even look at all this over here. Let's look at what's been happening since 2021. January, this is where price was at in January 2021. And ever since then, price has just been bullish. So we do have to respect the bull. We still have to respect that, hey, this is currently a bullish US dollar. But it is currently at a zone where it could drop. Absolutely, 100%. But again, it's like you want to make sure that you're getting into the best type of trade possible. Like right now, I can see that on the daily time frame, it looks like price had rejected off of the 61.8 Fibonacci level. Cool. That's awesome. I still want to see the 71% or 78.6 get hit before I personally get into the trade. If price ends up dropping to the downside, my bias was correct, and I could look for more selling opportunities later on. If price continues going bullish, I can get my entry, and I can see if I should take this trade or not. But overall, I do know that price is in a range, and there's equal highs and equal lows on both sides. So there really has to be, not really has to, but there's going to probably be some type of liquidity grab to one of these sides, and just from looking at it from this point of view, we might see price go bullish right here real quick, then drop back down, retracement, and then continue down. We could see something like that totally. Or we could just see what I want to see, and price come up over here to this zone, push to this downside, or just reject right here, Or third option, price just continues going bullish, retraces, continuation to the upside. Those are the three possibilities right now. It's a ranging market. The best thing that you can do is either play the range, play out a fib like this, see how it goes, or just wait it out, So, lower time frames. Let me see what I'm looking at on the 1 hour real quick before I go over to arbitrage. Yeah, 1 hour time frame is basically the same thing. Like, price dropped down pretty hard, and there's equal lows, equal highs. That's the only thing about this that scares me, is that there's equal lows and equal highs, but I would try to get into a sell opportunity right there. That's the only thing that I see on the dollar right now. It's going over to arbitrage real quick. Arbitrage monthly, I'm not going to pay attention to it because the weekly is very much bullish, and so with the monthly. Daily time frame still very much bullish, but I'm not going to take away the selling opportunity quite yet. 4 hour time frame, prices come up. I call it a sell right here. I would not have gone into that sell, and this time frame is definitely consolidating, so that's the reason why I wouldn't. But I would just 4 hour time frame. Personally, I would leave it alone. Just wait for a breakout. That's like the best play, quite honestly. Wait for a breakout, then a retest, then go with that breakout. And 1 hour time frame is bullish, possibly setting up for a sell, but it probably won't be ready until tomorrow morning or something like that. So yeah, not much that I can say about the DXY other than what I've already spoke about. So going on over to Euro USD. All right, Euro USD. Before I even talk about, or before I get a fresh markup, I want to just actually, you know what? Let's just get a fresh markup. I don't need to talk about what I did last week with the EU. It's like the same play that I was talking about, and it was just that I got stopped out way too many times. Price ended up pushing to the downside to the 78.6 fib, like I had mentioned it could, and then broke out. Went to the upside, but again, I didn't play anything, so I didn't really necessarily need to talk about it. You can just go to the last week's and see what I talked about, and then the results that it did exactly what I mentioned it was going to do. So, monthly time frame on Euro US dollar. This is a much better monthly close than I could have anticipated with EU in regards to how the beginning of the month started, because if I'm not mistaken, this drop happened on the month of the last. I'm gonna go into the daily time frame and I'll show you. It's just much better for me to explain it that way. So this is February 28th, where price was still holding above at this zone. Candle closed. Very next month, weekly candle, price pushed to the downside. Right? So that's why I'm saying that, hey, based off of how the weekly was on Euro USD, it had me very terrified about trying to make any type of buy opportunities. This monthly candle with the wick to the downside, and this looks more like a hammer to me than, just a long wick to the downside. That makes me feel good about still the potential for Euro USD to go bullish, right? If I take my Fibonacci, take it to the low of 1.06333 basically, and 1.23469 from the low of the wick to the high of the wick. Just this price action within this time frame of March 2020 to March 2022, 2 years. we can see that price is still holding at this fib zone on the higher time frame, on the swing levels. And now I've been talking about these swings for the past 2 months now, at least, maybe even 3 months. Actually, I feel like I was talking about it even when we were in 2021, but price was like up over here at that time. This is still a solid swing area, and remember how I was talking about this type of play is a play that if you get in at this 61.8 or even at that 71%, this is going to be a play that's going to take months for it to play out. So just like if you're going to play it, just get your bootstraps on, you know. But overall, weekly time frame, let me go back on there. You know, we have this fib zone drawn out where price is still above at the 78.6, above 1.100. The bullish possibility does still exist. It's only when price is not in this that's when I get like about it. But buying opportunities all in between 1.100 and 1.12879 for a bullish move on the Euro USD. Again, for those who want to play the positions, because this is not a swing. This is the position. Dang, I'm losing money over here because if I open those up, Brave is gonna pay me. No, I'm just playing. But yeah, it's just right now for the US dollar, I do see the possibility on the higher time frames and for a possible buying opportunity. But as you guys can see on the borders over here, I was like, EU, is it a fake out to the upside? And you know, it could be. You know, if I go on over to the 4-hour time frame, well, not the 4 hour, let me go into the daily time frame. When I go over to the daily time frame, we can see that it's just like price is just rejecting off of the 50 EMA. That's number one. Number two, it did close above this range that it was previously, on this support, or sorry, not support, resistance that it was previously at. But then right after, it closed with a bearish engulfing candle. That to me right there, with a large wick to the upside as well, that to me is kind of telling me, yo, is this a possibility for this to be a fake out and price continue to push to the downside? Going on to the 4-hour time frame, it doesn't look like that. You know, it doesn't look that terrible, but I do see a potential evening star pattern here, where you have, bullish candle is not a doji candle, but this might be considered a shooting star. You know, this is where the candle closed at, and then a bearish engulfing candle right after that. You know, shooting star, you would definitely want a larger wick to the upside and then a smaller body candle. But still, once you get that bearish engulfing candle that engulfs that previous candle, it's kind of like, okay, this kind of looks like a evening star pattern, and then after that, price continue pushing to the downside. Once I see that, that's when I'm like, is this EU going to remain bullish? You know, is this actually going to be a bullish move? Yeah, the move to the upside was much more faster than the move to the downside. And yeah, obviously, not obviously, but from this low to this high, there is a possibility that price can just come back in over here at one point, basically 100 for buying opportunities. And so this is my thing. I know that FOMC is coming up, and I know that the possibility of price coming over here to 1.100 does exist. And I know that both on the 4 hour, yeah, I'll consider this the 4 hour because I'm only talking about this move from this low to this high. I know that the possibility of price coming back into 1.100 as well before going bullish exists. So there's multiple confluences that I have right now that are saying that, hey, although yes, EU is in a bearish, it looks very bearish on the higher time frames, this is an area where it can potentially turn it around, both on the weekly time frame and on the 4 hour time frame or 1 hour time frame, you know, whatever you want to do it. I don't know if somebody would want to, even the 1 hour doesn't look terrible, right? It's basically the same thing, just different looking candlesticks. Doesn't look that bad on the 4 hour. It looks like it's actually flagging out to the downside a little bit. So, quite honestly, I'm okay with actually setting a buy limit at 1.100. Coordinates 1.100. And whatever happens, happens, because I am still in belief that we could be seeing a potential bearish US dollar. And all it could really do is just need to go down a little bit more. I mean, it lines up pretty much with what I have already with the with the dollar, right? I want it to come up to 98.995 before falling. Same thing, or not the same thing, but the inverse. I want EU to push to the downside a little bit before pushing up and going bullish and finally breaking out above this zone, because on the higher time frames it kind of looks like it's a fake out to the upside, but nonetheless on the daily I cannot deny that price did close above this structure, breaking this previous lower high, or not that's not the previous lower high. The previous lower high, realistically speaking, is up over here. Lower high, lower low, lower high. This might be the lower high as of right now, but you know what I'm saying, overall I still want to still see that 1.100, what price is going to do there, because I have interest there both on the weekly and the monthly time frame, and also on the 4-hour. So that's going to be something I'm going to be paying attention to. I have my alert set. Well, actually, you know what? I'm going to have my alert set even sooner so that I can prepare for the trade. You know, I don't want to necessarily set a buy limit right now, but I'm going to prepare for the trade. Euro USD, the 1-hour time frame is potentially setting up for a buy opportunity, but I need price to break out, retest, continuation before I try that. But let's go on over to the monthly time frame first. All right, so on the monthly time frame, I do see that price is currently holding at this lower danger, no, not lower danger, yeah, lower danger zone right here. That's a good sign for me, because I do like to use this lower danger zone as some type of support, and I like to use the upper danger zone as some type of resistance. So if price can hold over here on the monthly time frame with Euro USD, then that's another piece of confluence that I can use for a bullish EU. You know, weekly time frame still pretty bearish, so don't have really much to say about this here. Let me delete these real quick. Daily time frame, we have price is still, you know, looking a little bearish, not quite yet there for the buys. That's all good. 4-hour time frame. I mean, the 4-hour time frame basically is what I want to see for EU for me to be like very confident in the buy. It's basically the same thing as with the 1-hour breakout, retest, continuation of this RSI line. So yeah, overall it's either A, price is going to break out right now and continue going bullish, or B, I want my alert to get hit, price drop down a little more, and then continue to the upside. So that is with Euro USD. Let's go on over to AUD USD, and if anybody has any questions, don't be afraid to ask again. Australian dollar, AUD USD. Oh man, let me go on over to the weekly. 1-hour time frame. Basically, this is what I was trying to see last week for a potential opportunity, or for price to come down to 0.72750. None of those happen. It's all good. Let's remove all the drawings and get fresh on the charts with it, right? So, let me get some water. All right, so monthly time frame, Australian dollar, US dollar. It looks pretty good for the bulls right now. Pretty decent Mariposa candle, if you ask me. Price is above the 50 EMA, although that doesn't really mean much to me. That's still something that I like to pay attention to. Price rejecting off of this zone right here that's on the monthly time frame. That price is rejected on both the upside and the downside. Yeah, monthly time frame, I'm like, nope, you don't want to necessarily try to sell up against this, only because it's at a resistance. You know, price can just, of course, this is something that I always pay attention to. Price can just, you know, come up here and still grab liquidity before pushing to the downside. I'm even gonna include this in it as well. I mean, this is something that I had talked about months ago, and I haven't talked about it since. But you know, from this high to this low, price could still make that retracement up to 0.77140 before pushing to the downside. And it's kind of funny how that matches up with the liquidity grab of price of these highs right here, for price to come up to 0.77140 or even 0.77916 before falling. You know, it's kind of funny how that's coincidental, but as I continue, that's something that I'm watching for. You know, I do see this resistance right here, and as much as it's interesting, I'm not going to try to trade off of it. I'd rather just wait for price to come up at a better zone for me to try an opportunity there. Especially since I don't trade AUD USD as is. I couldn't tell you when the last time I placed a trade on AU. So that's why I'm just like, hey, maybe, you know, maybe not even, just wait until you see what happens when price gets up there, right? Let me go on to the daily time frame, see what the candlesticks look like over there. Yeah, I'm seeing a whole bunch of wicks, so I mean that could be a possibility that price is going to push to the downside. But at this point, it kind of just looks like what not what Euro USD looks like, but what the DXY looks like. You know, it's just like, oh well, price is just playing the range. You know, it's been in this range since, where's my y-axis? There you go. It's been in this range since the 23rd of March, and it's just been going up, down, up, came to the middle, but then dropped back down. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, is this a pair that I really want to trade? No, I want to wait for the breakout. But the way how I want to play Euro USD, I want it to be a bullish move to the upside, not a bearish move. But how it's just, you know, AUD USD isn't the cleanest play for me. You know, quite honestly, I would really want to see it like price push down on over to 0.72724 before I look for buying opportunities. For me, quite honestly, that's just how I would want to play it. You know, I wouldn't want to necessarily play it off of this zone right here, but the possibility is there. But I'm not going to really talk too much about AUD USD because I'm not really seeing the opportunity there regardless. And I do not want to spend too much time on this analysis today. I got some things I got to handle. So AUD USD monthly time frame on arbitrage, definitely above the RSI line. I mean, it's been calling for buys since December. Although I would not have ever bought up here, I would have to wait for price to get down here before I look to buy. You know, that's just the type of trader I am. I love to buy low and sell high. I mean, I feel like that's what every successful trader wants to do. And so, weekly time frame, I remember last week I was saying, hey, not last week, but the previous weeks, I was saying that, hey, price push to the upside once it makes that retracement back down, continuation to the upside, that's probably what's going to happen. Like, as soon as price gets down here, look for the buys. Unfortunately, I did not have my confirmations that I wanted set for this buy down here, but you know, it is what it is. Daily time frame, let me remove those drawings. Daily time frame still very much bullish. You know, 4-hour time frame is calling for the sell. Let me see. It's calling for the sell. This is not confirmed yet. This is not confirmed yet either. And the risk to reward, let me see what the risk to reward would look like if I were to take the trade right now. And it's barely getting to a 1. It's a 1 to 2 if price comes down over here. I don't like it. I do not like it. I'd rather price break out to the downside and I get into a buy stop rather than play this. But the possibility is there nonetheless, because it did call for the sell. Breakout and retest. I do want to see it continue pushing to the downside, but on the 4-hour there is not enough confirmations. But maybe on the 1-hour there would be. Yeah, 1-hour time frame, prices below the RSI line. You know, Level Pro and Arbitrage Z are both bearish. You know, this 4-hour AUD USD sell might not be terrible. Let me see what the 30-minute and 15 look like. I have not traded AUD USD in so long, so it's like Do I really want? Oh, even a 30-minute. Yeah, this might be a play. Let me run back those numbers. A 1 to 2 isn't terrible. It's just I like my 1 to 6s much more. Two, and it lines up right where the third deviation or the second deviation would be flying up. 57 pips is the 1 to 1, although I would really want the 1 to 1 to be right after price hits that mean line, but that's not going to be 1 to 1. I'm not crazy about this trade, guys, and when I'm not crazy about a trade, I'm reluctant to send it out to other people. I'm willing to take it myself personally, but for other people, it's like, and it's only because the 4 hour doesn't have the confirmation. So wait, okay, here, last test. Let me look at what the 2 hour looks like. Dang, this, oh man, this is giving you guys 2 hours right there. This is the only guy that's giving me an issue. But other than that, this actually looks like a solid play. So yeah, I'm gonna call it. Go ahead. This is AUD/USD 0.75470 is the stop loss. I'm gonna go ahead and draw out where 57 pips is the take profit 1. I think I want to set that as take profit 2, kinda. So 57. That's where 1 to 1 is. Yeah, that's where 1 to 1 is. 2 to 2. I mean, 1 to 2 is 114 pips, risking 57 pips. Not terrible play. I mean, 1 to 2 is not a terrible risk to reward, in my opinion. 1 to 4, 1 to 5, or 1 to 7 is just much better. And if you want to be really safe with it, I would suggest putting your stop loss at break even once price gets to 0.74659. Now, that is not 1 to 1. In fact, that would make the trade, if you move it to break even, that'll make it a 1 to 0.42. However, you don't have to risk your account if you don't want to. So there is AUD/USD. Yeah, I think I want to only set break even. The break even, I wouldn't call for it. I'll just probably say that, hey, I'm just adjusting my TP1 or something like that. But 1 to 1 is the TP1 for sure that I would want to get. TP2 would be that 0. You know what? Let me actually set a TP2. 0.7400 is a good TP2 in my opinion, which is 90 pips basically, and that would make this a 1 to 5.8. So I'm just gonna put a 1 to 6 or 1 to 1.6, right? And then a 1 to 2 right there. So there you guys have it. There's the trade setup for AUD/USD. I have not taken AUD/USD for a trade in a while, but let's see what's going on. And yes, for those, wait a minute, I'll check out Bitcoin. I saw the breakout before I got on here. I didn't look at my trade account though, so I couldn't tell you how much in profit it doesn't matter how much profit I'm in. It's not about me. All right, UChef. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. UChef is such a tease. It's funny because got into the trade last week, it stopped us out, and after that, what do you know? If I'm not mistaken, TP1 was right here, TP2 was right here, and TP3 was right here, and TP4 was where that wick is at. Let me see if I still have the trade up here. I might have not deleted it. No, I did. Okay, it's okay. But anyways, let's go ahead and take a look. I'm pretty sure that I might still have the same bias on UChef, but we're gonna take a look and see what happens. So remove drawings, monthly time frame. Let's see what happens. 50 EMA. First thing that I see on this rejection, off of this candle right here, 50 EMA getting rejected, and a large wick to the upside. Now, even though that yes, this is a blue candle, which is signaling that it is a bullish candle, the wick is way larger than the body of the candlestick. That kind of looks like a shooting star to me, and more than price going bullish for the monthly time frame. And we've already talked about how I felt like, hey, price is in this zone. I'm gonna draw this different color. Didn't want it could stay blue, why not? Yeah, price is in this zone. 1 week, price decided to go bullish, but then it came right back in. It was a fake out. I was mentioning that. Daily time frame, I was saying that, hey, there is this trend line that price is currently respecting. So next time that it gets down here, it might be a good time to look for buying opportunities, which we could see price did reject off of said trend lines. Now, I don't usually use trend lines. I only use them for just for visual purposes. And I like the way how price rejected off of it. So we're gonna see what happens. Oh, and also not only that's what price rejected off of, but from the low of 0.91600 basically to the high of 0.94614, we can see that price rejected off of that Fibonacci zone multiple times and even came down a little lower to tap that wick. To tap that trend line before going bullish. If there was anybody who would have taken the 78.6 trade, your 1-to-1 would have gone hit before the market closed last week. So, but that was not a trade setup that I gave. I just said, hey, that's all I want to see. Just like how you guys saw a couple minutes ago, I wanted to see the bullish move, the retracement, continuation to the upside with UChef. So this is still something that right now, just based off of how the market's looking, I want to see it. But overall, this daily, let me get rid of this fib real quick actually. Let me hide it. But this daily time frame right here, I like seeing that this is a doji candle and then a bullish engulfing candle right after it occurred. So that's like, hey, there might be a reversal going on here. That's the first sign of seeing a reversal off of the trend line as well. Only thing that I am having my issues with is that I want a bearish US dollar. So, and that's the only thing I'm going to be watching out for. One thing that I will also say is that on just looking at it from the 4-hour time frame, this bearish move that happened right here, let me actually go a little closer so we can pay attention to this. There was some type of double top right here, although from this high to this low, if you fib it, I promise you it rejected off of the 78.6 and then died. Opportunity that I could have seen, but I was just being like, you know what, let it play out. But we see that there was a push to the upside, but then a bearish engulfing candle, and the price continued to fall. So right now, what I'm currently paying attention and wanting to see on UChef is from this high to this low, what price is going to do up over here at 0.93218. Is it going to get up here and then reject and then continue pushing to the downside? Because again, I am pro bearish. Oh wait, no, I am overall bearish US dollar. I know it can go up a little bit higher, absolutely, all that jazz, but I am more bearish on it than I am bullish. So I want to see this occur on UChef, quite honestly. Just a bullish move to the upside real quick and then push to the downside. I do know that, hey, what I talked about last week can be what actually goes down. I've seen that. I've seen the possibility of that, but I'm like, hey, let's see what the lower time frames will talk about before we get up there. 1 hour time frame, not really much of anything to play except for if price dribbled back down to like 0.92154 and then I buy it. But other than that, I'm gonna wait for this bearish play on UChef. So gonna set an alert over here. Create. Alright, and we'll see what goes down. I am in a 80 USD buy. Let me go ahead and get that right there. That is not a trade I was in. Oh, let me also go ahead and go over to UChef. Right here. Ooh, people are texting me right now at the worst time. It's crazy how everybody's wanting to text me at 6. Alright, so weekly time frame. Price is very much bullish. Still above the RSI line. So still bullish in my eyes. Monthly time frame, not so much. We still have to see a big breakout to the upside before a very long term. I would be bullish on UChef, right? So daily time frame currently underneath the RSI line. It would still have to be a couple of days from now before a sell even occurred. But just me seeing that price is underneath that RSI line is what makes me say that, hey, I think that price could potentially push to the downside, but not just here yet. 4-hour time frame, call for the sell. Wouldn't have been the best sell I would have gone into, or I would not have gone into that. Let me just keep it real. And I would rather wait for a breakout, retest, continuation before I try to get into a UChef buy. And 1-hour time frame has already played out, but it's currently at the upper danger zone, so I wouldn't necessarily try to play it. So that's what I have on UChef. Nothing really here for me right now, except for this bullish move that I want to see. All right, Goldilocks. Goldilocks was the same thing, man. I got stopped out. You know, I had a different setup that it was still very much valid, and price came back down to it. And then after that, price came in and hit my TP1, but it is what it is. You know, I like to show that transparency. I love to show my losses because my wins be fire sometimes, and I just be wanting to show that I'm human too. All right, although I'm a monster. Anyways, Goldilocks. Monthly candle right here. What does that look very similar to? The wick to the upside right here, right? If anything, this candle right here makes me feel like that it's going to be more bearish than this candlestick. And I'm just like, that's just how I feel about it, you know? Like last month the volume was insane compared to all the other months, and of course that can be due to the whole Ukraine and Russia thing that's going down. You know, it's funny, I was talking to one of the business owners around here in Canada, in Brandon, like one of his shops, and we were talking about a whole bunch of different things, and it's just like, you know, gold is definitely, and it's not even just him, but it's just everybody in general. It's like, okay, if you have gold, what would be the use case for you to use that gold? Just for you to convert it to something else, for you to sell it, or for you to make some jewelry off of it? Like, yes, as gold is known to be a safe haven when, like, you know, when there's depreciation of assets or currencies or anything like that, but it's like, what would you actually do now? What do you, like, if someone came over here and gave you 500 bars of gold, it's like, okay, what are you going to do with that? You have to go and convert it to a currency before you can start making transactions with it, unless you are willing to sell that you're selling the gold to somebody who wants it. And it's just funny how all that goes on, and then this weekly candlestick happens right here, and then it's like, okay, is the US dollar going to continue pushing to the upside, or is gold gonna just reject off of the zone like how it just did a couple months ago? And again, this weekly candlestick makes me feel like there's going to be a bearish move way more than right over here. You know, so those are the two things that I'm really watching for. And hold on, give me a second. Never mind, it's okay. But, you know, when I see that weekly and I see the monthly candlestick even scarier than the weekly for a bearish move, I also see something where it was very similar in the past, and I'm just like, okay, this was bearish. This was showing that it could be possibly bearish, but then what happened right after? Sorry, I tried to make it look good, but this is the candlestick I'm talking about. But this looks like a bearish candle, and what happened after that? 1, 2, 3, 4 months later, price comes back up to its previous all-time highs. So it's kind of like, what's gonna go on here? You just gotta be paying attention to that type of thing, right? But weekly time frame, after that bearish engulfing candle, yeah, this weekly candlesticks left. It's rejecting off of this zone right here, which is solid, right? And it's rejected on the daily time frame at this 50 EMA. But for me to be bearish on gold, even though I feel like it is going to go bearish, I needed to break this structure first. I've said the same thing when price was over here and I wanted to see the sells. I said the same thing over here, and I'm going to say the same thing over here. I need to see this structure get broken before I start to say that I am bearish on gold, right? From this low, I mean, it's not the greatest fib that I'm about to draw, but from this low to this high, realistically speaking, price has still been respecting inside that zone, Even if I draw this down more to where price broke above this, well, this is where price actually started the bullish move to break above this structure right here. We can see that price has been rejecting inside of this zone as well. So it's like, again, for me to really start to feel the selling pressure or bears come into play would probably be if price broke through this zone. And even with that, because, okay, then what happens when we talk about when price was at this low to getting to this high? Price is only been rejecting off of the 61.8, and then it can still come to 1863, 1841, etc., etc. So it's like, it's kind of iffy, but at the end of the day, when I'm really looking at gold, it's been rejecting off of this structure, and every time not every time, but when it rejects off of here, it goes bullish. So once it breaks through the structure, then I can start to say, okay, it's finally broken through the structure in which it was struggling with before, and it can continue going bearish. Another thing that I want to point out for the possible bears, from this low to this high, even though this on the 4-hour time frame is considered to have broken this previous lower high, on the 1-hour time frame, doesn't necessarily, it's not necessarily that on the 1-hour time frame it doesn't necessarily look like that, but this can still be considered a potential lower high, because the previous lower high before price made this lower low was up here. So technically, but it's not really a clean look anyway. So again, I would just want this structure to get broken before I'm really bearish on it. And from this high of 1966 to this low of 1890, realistically, price did reject off of nice fibs up there. Very nice fibs. Hit the 61.8 and the 78.6 for that bearish push to the downside. That doesn't surprise me at all. And so if price does continue to fall, then I'm going to expect it to either hit 1861 or 1843 in the next week or two. But we'll see what goes on with that, because also what can just very much as well happen is price push down over here to 1908 and then take off like Team Rocket. Because if I just draw the fibs a little differently, so from this low to this high, big volume over here. I like seeing big volume on this candle, and then big volume on the next one. It's a bullish engulfing candle with two Moribozos. I like seeing that. If I could see price come into 1907 or 1913, then hey, we might see some potential buys over here. So we're gonna see what goes on. Just for the mere fact that gold is always not always, but it's usually looking to be bullish, I'm gonna set an alert for this buy opportunity and see where it takes me. You know, if I like the buys, how they approach this level, yeah, it's not the greatest look. But again, I do know that the possibility for price to push down like this into that 23.6 and then push to the upside, I know it exists hardcore. So I want to see how price is going to get there and if there's going to be any type of confluences that agree with that bullish sentiment. All right, it's going over to arbitrage gold on the weekly. I want to speed it up a little bit because I have not even hit the indices or anything like that, and it's already about to be 7. All right, weekly time frame, very much bullish bullish over there. It's very much bullish. You know, daily time frame. Let me delete these drawings. Daily time frame price is currently underneath that RSI line, so that is actually very interesting for me to see. Although it's not necessarily a break and retest. I mean, this kind of is. It broke out, pushed down even a little lower than retested it, I guess. But this could be starting to be a potential sell. I mean, realistically speaking, if it sells right here, it's not a bad play. It's not a bad play. I see it potentially going a little bit higher, but even with how the monthly and the weekly look, it's not a bad play for this to push to the downside. Honestly, from where it's at, but I need more confluences. Like, it's crazy because I feel like there's gonna be more. I'm not so certain that there's gonna be buyers here. Let me see what the volumes look. Let me see what the volume looks like. I haven't put out the volume profile all day, but let me see what the weekly talking about. Yeah, there's no volume over here. All the volume is packed over here in 1286. I mean, there is volume where price is currently at, but it's like, yeah, the bears are looking much more appealing when it comes to the volume profile side of it all. So, yeah, not necessarily gonna try to pursue this too crazy, but I'm going to pay attention to what it looks like when it gets there. All right. SPX 500, I had talked about it last week. This was a trade opportunity that I gave to those in Next Wave. It's a swing play, and it's going out pretty nicely, but I'm going to hide the... Actually, I can't move it. If I try, I can remove it, but I can't. You know what? Let me do it this way. If I remember correctly, how? Ooh, there we go. Is it control? Yeah, there you go. Gonna take off all of that. Had gotten a good 1 to 6.5 trade with DeFi in them. That was solid. Let's go ahead and get the rest of this going. Oh my goodness. There we go. Okay. I'm keeping this up because this is a trade that we are currently in. Monthly time frame. I'm leaving this also, this support over there because I'm going to draw it again anyways. So, monthly time frame, not really a fan of how this looks. These wicks to the downside, I'm not really a huge fan of how they look. I do notice that the biggest volume was in the last previous 2 months and not in March. So that's interesting to see. Weekly time frame, I don't necessarily like seeing this bullish engulfing candle either, but me seeing last week's wick to the upside and then the way how the candle closes, that's telling me this can be a potential area where price is going to sell from, you know, and even from the all-time high of the S&P at 4,814 or something, somewhere around that area. Let me actually draw the fibs out right. From 4,819 to 4098, you know, prices definitely retraced up to the 71% Fibonacci at 4610 and rejected off of it. Right now it's currently at the 61.8. I'm not a big fan of trading at the 61.8, but I know there are people who are. I still kind of believe that we could see a push to the downside. Oh my goodness, these ads, man. Where were y'all like a couple hours ago? But like I was saying, like this bearish move right here is at this point kind of all I really. I mean, not that I want to see it, but that's what I am feeling for in the market. You know, even when I'm kind of looking over here, what do we? I mean, I'm not the greatest. I don't like looking at head and shoulders on the higher time frames that often, especially with the S&P in them. But realistically speaking, it looks like a head and it looks like it's a possible head and shoulders as well over here at this fib zone. And as much as I know that yes, the U.S. indices are more built to buy than anything, it's just sometimes it gets to a point where enough is enough. You know, look how bullish it's been. And yes, over the years, yes, it does go on a good tangent of a bullish move before making a steep retracement. But still, it's kind of like, hey, the push to the downside. That's all I would really prefer to see, honestly. And even let's say even if it pushed down, the only 23.6. Same thing as usual. 23.6 is where I want to go. You know, 23.6 is where I would want to go for if I'm going to look for a buy opportunity, that's the only place I would look for it. You know, right there at that, right in between that 71% and 78.6. Ooh, what did I do? That can get out of here. But you know, over here at 4,281, that would be where I would look for my buys if I'm buying this. You know, I have seen, yes, price has broken through the structure, but the way how it rejected off of that fib, that's why I'm like, hey, if I'm gonna look for buy opportunities, it has to be down here. It can't be anywhere else for me, honestly. It's inside that zone, and once I get price inside that zone, then I could think about some buys. But other than that, the sells are where I am residing, low-key. Not even low-key. 4-hour time frame on S&P. This does not surprise me. I have not looked at this. We got the sell opportunity for S&P. I would just probably want to see a retracement and then a continuation to the downside. Let me get rid of that. Daily time frame rejected off of that zone, off of that upper danger zone, but I'm not interested. A weekly time frame, oh my goodness, man, calling for a sell, break, and retest. I don't know. This drop looks like it's gonna probably happen, but we'll see what goes down. If I can get price to come back up to 4,575, I might call for a sell. Quite honestly. We'll see what goes down, but I might call for a sell. But that drop, that drip drop, looked like it's about to happen. And it's basically the same thing as the Dow Jones. You know, Dow Jones didn't get up to my 335,600 pricing that I wanted it to. But other than that, I'm going to go ahead and remove all drawings. Go on to the monthly time frame. Same thing, I'm not really a big fan of how there's tweezer bottoms down here basically. But, and I can't look at volume over here. Uh-oh, Big Bear's loading. Yeah, that's how I feel, man. Big Bear's. But US 30 right here, man. I'm not really feeling the price action right there. I'm not really feeling this daily candlestick either. But what I do know is that from the all-time high to when price came and make this low right here, price has rejected off of that 61.8 pretty nicely. You know, that weekly candlestick, although it's not a shooting star, it does still look pretty nice. Going on that daily time frame, the rejection, bearish engulfing candle, this looks like a evening star pattern to me. Something that I'm going to be paying attention to. The bears, man, all I'm really seeing. Although, yes, price moves up bullish nights like that, it never broke this previous lower high. And even if it would have came to the 78.6 and broke above it, I would still be like, it's still in the zone. So, yeah, we'll see what goes down. 4-hour time frame, still bearish, yeah. I'm really still feeling the bears on here too. 4-hour time frame, push to the downside. We'll see what goes down. You know, it's like I said, it's the same thing as with US 30, right? If I'm gonna be, I don't even know if I would want it there or here. I know it looks kind of ugly, but if I was looking for buying opportunities, this would, like over here in between this zone is all I could really look for. If it's not in that zone, I don't want it. And so we'll see what goes on with US 30. Had an awesome analysis on it last week. And for those who might have taken it, then hey, money in your pocket. But yeah, big bears in my opinion, loading. I mean, obviously, we can see that. I mean, not that we can see, but that's what most likely happened from this low to this high. Price rejected off of that 71%, rejected pretty nicely, but still to the downside, I feel like this thing is gonna go. Let's go ahead and take a look at arbitrage. Oops. Going ahead over to the monthly real quick. There's this huge zone that I had drawn out. And then weekly time frame, yeah, same thing. Weekly time frame just rejected off of that RSI line. I feel like this is still going to push to the downside, even though the Level Pro and Arbitrage Z have not called it or have not pushed to the downside yet. I still believe that this can push to the downside. Oh my goodness, man! For those who don't know, I know this is a total side note, but for those who don't know, Brave browser, download it, use it. Those ads that you keep seeing pop up on my feed. I have it so like the maximum amount of them pop up on me. Every time you click on it, the browser gives you cryptocurrency, and it's called Batcoins, BAT. You know, I have a good amount of those because I've been using Brave for about almost 2 years now. So the more you use it, the more you open the ads, the more cryptocurrency you get. Free game. Go download Brave. They are not sponsoring me by any means necessary. I'm just letting y'all know that's just free game. Alright, so yeah, US 30. This was what the play I was looking for the buys. I'm like, hey, if this plays out, then hey, for the buys it looks good. But 4-hour time frame, it looks like it looks like it's the selling opportunity. Push up and then push to the downside. And it's all I really see on here on US 30 right now. So yeah, that's dirty 30. You know, I feel like it's going to push to the downside, but we'll see what happens. Oh my goodness, everybody wants to hit me up now. All right, Biddy. Oh my goodness, hold on. Bitcoin is a tease. Yo, Bitcoin is a tease. Hold on, first of all, I just want to be full transparency, you know. Again, when I had mentioned that, this was for DeFi domination, you know, I had said the same thing for next wave traders, but I was like, hey, I probably drew the fibs wrong right here, where I said, hey, let's get in right here on the buy, and then price push to the upside, TP1 right here. If I would have drawn the fibs like down over here, wouldn't have had an issue. Even if I would have drawn the fibs here, I would have just probably barely missed the trade. But nonetheless, right? Price rejected off of there, went bullish. I'm actually really interested. First and foremost, let me actually see what my trading account looks like for this real quick. Because I stayed in the trade and I didn't really touch it over the weekend. $46328. Yeah, it's basically the same where I left it. Yeah, so overall, you know, just like off of the past, I mean, this candlestick just popped up, but the mere fact that price came up over here to 47,500 and then pushed right down right after is very interesting to me. You know, whoever played a buy stop, they got played hardcore, and if I would have played a buy stop, I would have got played. But you know, it's just I gotta get. Let me just get a fresh markup over here overall. Let me see, what do I have here? I'm gonna copy this, delete everything, and then paste it again. So when I paste it, it's gonna draw it over here to the right, and it's gonna stay there. Cool. All right. So monthly time frame. Love seeing the wick to the downside on the monthly. That's a good monthly candle close on the 1st of March. That was 3 days ago. Nothing too crazy though, right? Weekly time frame. The previous week's candle, I like it. This week's candlestick that closed, it kind of closed like a doji candle, but that doesn't mean anything. You know, I'm still feeling the buys. 56K. I still feel like 56K is upcoming, you know. From this zone right here, price, you know, it held pretty nicely. It's above that 45K. So that's good news, but you know, I'm not still quite convinced yet. I do like that price is above the weekly 50 EMA and the daily. I love all that. I love the bullish price action on the daily time frame, but I feel like we might still see a retracement to the downside before we get that move to the upside. Not so sure about it quite yet, but I don't like that. Hey, this from this previous lower high to this lower low, if you draw a fib, that price is still chilling in this area. You know, I don't necessarily care for that, and that's something that I was mentioning last week. I was like, hey, right now I'm not necessarily the type of person who really likes buying at supply zones or demand zones, or I don't like buying at supply zones and I don't like selling at demand zones, but I was willing to take that risk last week. Unfortunately, I drew the fibs wrong, so I took the loss on that. But overall, you know, it looks pretty decent for a bullish move, but I kind of have to see a retracement right now before I get in at this point. Like, and if I see the retracement, nobody's gonna like the retracement I want to see. You know, I want to see price kind of come back into 42K, 42,239 or 42,819 for me to get into a buy. Nobody really wants Bitcoin to get down there, but the possibility of it getting down there does exist. I'm gonna draw this line right here so that's where the 61.8 is. I'm leaving an alert there, and I just want us to pay attention to the current price action that's going on. Going to the 1 hour time frame, and I just spotted it like probably as I got onto this chart a couple minutes ago. But realistically speaking, from this bearish move that happened, it happened pretty fast. Just like how this bullish move up here happened pretty fast. From this low to this, from that high to this low. Or even if we do it from this high up here to this low. Is that a coincidence that price rejected off of the 78.6 and all these other fibs and is pushing to the downside? I wouldn't say it's a coincidence, but it does make sense. And you know, the possibility of price coming down over here. Oh my goodness, there's so many of those today. Interesting. But the possibility of price coming down over here to that 43K, 42K, 41K, it does exist. And based off of the current price action, this looks like a fake out to me. If I go ahead and draw a zone over here, let me just take out all these. Let me just take off all this right here. And then there's equal highs over here. Price almost got up to them. It didn't. But what do you think price was treating this as? So it's like a liquidity grab. You know, I'll push to the upside real quick a little bit, and then we could push to the downside. That's kind of what I'm seeing on Bitcoin right now, for it to still like push to a little bit more lower. And again, nobody really wants it to go to 42K. But the price action that we're seeing on the weekly and the monthly, I think we can afford a pullback to down those prices. So, like, we got this structure right here broken. Let's see what happens when price gets back down there. I feel like this wick price is just going to end up pushing it down and following it. But I'm going to be paying attention to what the markets are going to be looking like. Let's go ahead and go on over to arbitrage. Delete those drawings. Actually, I want to see what those drawings look like. Yeah, bullish move, retracement. Price didn't get to the 71%. Push to the upside. Doesn't surprise me. Yep. Cool. Daily time frame. This makes me want to look for bears on Bitcoin. 4-hour time frame. Rejecting the same zone that I just talked about at the upper danger zone, and price closed underneath the lower, the RSI line right here. This makes me want to sell this. Although the confirmations are not all on here on the 4-hour time frame, that wick to the upside makes me want to sell this. Because look at this wick, that price. This is just what my head is saying, right? Just like right here. Oh, price drew out a big wick and then came back down. Price is probably just going to go and chase the wick and go back up there. Same thing right here. Oh, price pushed this wick to the downside and then push back up. Price is probably just going to go and chase that wick. And it did. And went even lower than that. Oh, price pushed up a little. Price pushed up with this wick to the upside and then pushed to the downside. Maybe it'll go and chase that wick eventually at one certain time. So that's what I'm kind of thinking right now, is that either A, hey, is price gonna go and push back up to this wick again, or is it just gonna fall here? And based off of the 1-hour time frame, as of right now, although it has not closed underneath the RSI line, it's kind of looking like it wants to like go bullish again. So we'll see what goes on. I'm not really necessarily to trying to get into anything on the Bitcoin. Yeah, not really trying to look at anything too crazy at Bitcoin right now. I have that alert set, and once it gets activated, then I could talk more about it. But until then, I'm going to see what happens. Ethereum, basically the same thing. This was a setup that was given on Wednesday, and I had totally forgot about it, and I didn't play it. But it was a pretty decent play nonetheless. Alright, so let me see what the weekly looking like actually. I'm going to do the same thing. Copy that. Delete everything. And then bring it back. Cool. Push it over here a little bit. Alright. Monthly time frame. Love the price action that we're seeing on the candlesticks. Prices breaking above this previous month's, I said weekly, monthly candle. Prices breaking above this previous monthly candle's wick. I like seeing that. Weekly time frame. Bullish candles. I like 3 white soldiers. That's what that is. The candlestick pattern. Or in this case, 3 blue soldiers. So that could be possible bullish indication on Ethereum as well. Daily time frame. You know, only thing that I would say that I would personally want to see for me to get into a buy, a comfortable buy, other than what I had talked about on Ethereum, would really have to be a steep thing. This is a steep retracement, but I wouldn't mind getting it for a buy. Over here down to 2,810 before going bullish, but I feel like that's not going to happen. However, you know, from this previous lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, from this lower high, no, not even that lower high. Let me go into the weekly and see something. I don't like it. Never mind. I'm just gonna go ahead and take it from this all-time high, draw it down 3,836, 4087, 4294. That's where I'm gonna be watching for on Ethereum. But just like how I feel like Bitcoin is gonna hit 56K, 10,000 away from there. Same thing with Ethereum going up to those highs. I almost forgot to do arbitrage on Ethereum. Alright, weekly. What time is it? 1921. Okay. Ethereum, weekly time frame still holding at this upper danger zone, but it is still showing possible signs for a bullish move. So we'll see what goes on with Ethereum. Daily time frame has been very much bullish. You know, no disputing that. 4-hour time frame, possibly setting up for a possible sell, but it's still kind of far away to tell. Would need maybe a day or two before we can make that assessment. 1 hour time frame would have to wait a couple hours, maybe even a whole day before there might be a sell opportunity here. So other than that, yeah, Ethereum just, I feel like it can just be going, it can just continue up to that wick and continue going bullish. Yeah, this could just be a small break, retest, continuation up to the upside. I mean, if I go onto the 5-minute time frame, like, you feel me? Like, let me even just take it from these lows right here. Rejected off of the 786, holding nicely right there. It could just continue going bullish, but again, that's just smaller time frame stuff. We'll see what goes down. These GBPs are pretty interesting. I was saying last week that, hey, this looks like that it was a falling pendant. Price pushed to the upside. The retracement, I'd want to see the bullish price action happen over here at in between the 61.8 and the 78.6 Fibonacci levels. And, GU has just been consolidating a little bit. And so I'm kind of sitting on the sidelines with this right now. Not necessarily feeling the trade, but I do want to see the bullish move here. Like, overall, I do want to see this play happen. I do want to see that happen overall, but right now I'm not willing to get into the trade because of how much it's consolidated, right? So that's just how I feel overall about GU. And I mean, it hasn't. My opinion hasn't really changed since last week. I want to see what the monthly candle closed at, though. Let me close. That's very bearish monthly candle. Yeesh. Yeah, that's another reason why I don't want to try to get into anything. Weekly candle, nothing too crazy. So we'll see what goes down. But I don't want to try to get up in the buy right now. Quite honestly, like, I believe that it can still happen, but I'm okay. I'm okay with not taking the buy. That's just that. Going on over to arbitrage. I gone into this trade. Break even had hit a while ago, so I don't even know why this is still up. Okay, weekly time frame. GU, yeah, still very much bearish. Still very much bearish. Daily time frame hasn't moved quite yet to make a break to the upside. So we'll see what goes down. 4-hour time frame, still very much bearish. 1-hour time frame, I'm pretty sure might be, I'm just being away from GU until I see some better progress with it. I'd rather keep my hands tied than try to get into anything right now. Just because I see an opportunity doesn't mean that I should play it all the time. Why is this GJ green? I didn't even play it last week. Wait, did I? Yeah, I did in the beginning of the week. Anyways, GJ, I'm just going to talk through this because nothing's really changed for me about it. If you go onto the monthly time frame, very bullish monthly close last month. Very bullish monthly close. I feel like this is just a extremely bullish market, GJ, and I feel like if once it retraces back down to 154.900, it's gonna push back up to the upside. That's really how I feel about it. Daily time frame, not much I can tell you other than prices have been consolidating up here for a little bit. 4-hour time frame. Looks kind of like a head and shoulders possibly may occur, but I'm not gonna play that. I'd rather just wait and see what price is gonna do down at these lows. If that's gonna happen, then I want to see this structure get broken first, a retracement, and then a continuation to the downside. Because this is gonna take a couple of days, if not weeks, for it to happen. So that's for GJ. Don't want to talk too deep about it because it's just way too bullish, and I'm not gonna buy at current price action. because the 4-hour time frame is looking for sells. Like I was waiting for break, retest, continuation. This looks really decent for a sell. 1-hour time frame is almost almost giving the confirmations. I think the 2-hour might be giving the confirmations. No, it is not. The 2-hour is actually saying you might want to buy. Let me see. Oh no, never mind. It's everything's pointing down. So this 4-hour actually. Oof. Are both of my signals gonna come from arbitrage this week? Nah, I'm gonna save this one. I think that price can still potentially come up a little higher before falling, but overall, GJ is just so bullish and GU is just so bearish that it's kind of hard to believe that they correlate so well. You know what I'm saying? It's just really hard to believe that they correlate well when they do a lot of opposites. Like their higher time frames are very much opposite. So it's kind of interesting. But the bears on the 2-hour, they're kind of like saying, yeah, although this is calling for a buy, we're pointing to the downside and we want to sell. So take that with whatever grain of salt you want to take it with. And Euro GBP, I've already talked about this. Only time that I am really going to be looking for. Wait, did it already do that? Oh no, it didn't give me the play that I wanted down over here at 78.6, but it's okay. I want to see price break above this zone before I look for buys. That's just point blank period. I don't want to talk too much about EG. Because EG has broken my heart multiple times with me trying to buy it, and it's only me trying to sell. So, with all of that being said, is there any other pairs or is there anything else that anybody wants me to go over before I hop off of this analysis? I'm glad I was able to keep it under an hour and 30 minutes because I did look at the monthly candlesticks. But is there anything that anybody wants me to go over? Or any pairs? I can go over pairs that aren't just what I trade regularly. Let me see what AUD/USD is talking about. It's going to give me my entry still. It's going to give me a slightly better entry. All right. No questions or anything. All right, guys. Well, if that's the case, thank you for hopping on to my analysis. I do appreciate it. And let's see what these markets bring us. Let's make some money, y'all. Later.